All right, ladies and gentlemen, please take your seats. Let's continue. Let's just quickly continue with the call sign system. As you see, the following methods may be applied in allocating call signs. The method is, you of course have to identify your location of installation, which in our case will be, or can be, Camp Solna. Do you think it is useful to spell, at least for the first time, if you are first in your deployment area, the specific location names, or not?
Yes, first time.
Right? Because those could be rather complicated. Still, to this point in time, people used to confuse, is it Athienu or Athineu? Things like that. Not really important, because if you just spit it out like that, there is no similar village or town in the area, so everybody can understand in the mission theater. However, for example, in eastern Ukraine, you have 4 or 5 villages with only one difference of letter in the village name, which can be decisive if you are giving a grid or reporting an incident, right? So therefore, it is also the agreement of the mission itself in the specific pre-deployment training or out in the mission theater when they are organizing some specific trainings in communications to clarify such things like locations, towns, villages, names of those. Okay? Vehicle registration number, in our case, UNF 123 used to say Uniform November Foxtrot, will be useless from the point you are in the theater after a while, even after a few days. Because the structure of the message also will be very, very clear for everyone, for all nations in the theater, for all sectors, for all contingents and subcontingents, that you are talking about your vehicle registration number after the location. Okay? Letters and numbers using the alphabet, the phonetic alphabet, and the sheet which was given to you. Now, the call types. We have the single call, the multiple call, and the net call. Okay, these are the 3 major types. Of course, single call means from one to a single other. Multiple towards several from a single. And the net call, we used to say all stations. This is a single net call. Okay? Then the procedure words, the pro words. These are the words or phrases which have specific meaning in order to speed up the handling of the message. So these are specifically designed and put from the average vocabulary into the radio conversation to speed up and ease the process. The pro words are the basis for the radio voice procedure, should be learned and will be learned, because once again it will become muscle memory automatically after a while. Pro words such as this is, I am introducing myself into the net, right? The transmission is from the station whose designation immediately follows. 4-1 alpha, this is 4. Then comes the message itself, the content, and either over or out, depending on whether I want to continue, I'm expecting an answer or not. Okay? The hello, it's an agreement-based pro word. Usually you can predict losing your first part of message with the hello, which is not the official part of the message. It's an entry kind of saying. As you push, you say the hello. It could be that it's not initiating the transmission itself, the device, and the hello might be lost. But for sure, you already started your conversation, and automatically, with generating voice, you're generating your muscle, your thumb muscle, pushing the button. That means if this one gets lost, fine, but the rest at least will not be lost, okay? Used only by amphicip mainly. I used to just carry it on. When I learned it in '97 in Cyprus, I used everywhere and it was quite useful. Some people ask me why am I doing that, and I explained and they thought it's quite useful as well. For example, I'm having the radio set, the handheld set in front of my mouth. I'm pushing it, I'm saying hello 41 alpha, and if the push delays a little bit because of mechanical or transmission difficulties, most likely the 41 alpha will be already projected into the air. Okay? Some basic rules again. Think what you want to say, but the situation you are in will dictate what you want to say anyways. However, it is good to put your thoughts together before you projecting your message. Think, then press the button, wait for a split second or a second or two, then start to talk. Okay? Let's continue with some basic procedures, some words. The proverb over. This is the end of my turn of transmitting. A response is expected. Go ahead, transmit. With that one, I leave the net. I'm stepping out for a while because I'm expecting my counterpart to answer me. All right? Out. This is something, the end of my transmission to you. No answer or acknowledgement is expected. All right? Usually, golden rule, whoever starts the radio communication, the conversation, will finish it with the out. Okay? Unless something comes into the mind of the counterpart or yourself and you initiate, you start it all over again. Fairly simple, I guess. A little format which is rather helpful. So comes the initial call, then the addressee's call signs will be mentioned, then from whom it is coming, myself, my call sign, the originator's call sign, the content of the text itself, and the over. If you say over, you are expecting an answer, golden rule, okay? Even if it's just Roger, still, there's something expected. You want to be sure that the message was transmitted and arrived to this designated radio user, okay? Unless it is out. Everything is the same, but if you're saying out, you're not expecting answer. Okay, the Roger, the male, don't get confused, it's not the male first name, Roger, okay? It used to be the common joke that everybody's talking about this mysterious guy, Roger, I've never seen him, I don't know about him, okay? This is a kind of confirmation. I have received your last transmission satisfactorily, okay? Roger, thumbs up, it's good. Wilco is something different. I have received your message, understood and will comply, to be used only by the addressee. Roger and Wilco never comes together, okay? We had a plane crash exercise in the UNPA in Nicosia in 2007. As an FMPU first responder, I was sent out to the high ground, not far from the football pitch, I guess, to direct the emergency forces into the crash site. And therefore, I got many directions from my sergeant major, the FMP, the MP sergeant major. And always I just said, Wilco, Wilco, Wilco. I knew what my task is anyways, but he was explaining it to me, and I did not repeat what he was saying, but all what I said is a confirmation, Wilco. So I know the task, it will be done, no worries, okay? Then figures. You're just not throwing in to the radio the numbers, the figures you want to explain, but you say before that figures are following the message. Numerals, sorry. So, yeah, figures. Numerals or numbers will follow. This is a proverb, is not used with the call sign, time definitions, grid references, braking distances, and etc., etc. Especially fixed form reports. If you are observing a number of hunters moving from A to B, then you could say, I have observed figures 5 hunters moving from 2 directions, this and that, and so on. It's useful for such explanations. Or I have recognized 6 landmines. I have recognized figures 6 pieces of landmines, which are rather important to know exactly the numbers, the figures. Okay, I shall spell the next word, group, or equivalent phonetically. Do not use when transmitting coded messages. I spell could be again a difficult location to pronounce, especially in different language written on the map you are using, for example. Okay. Affirmative, yes, correct. Negative, no, incorrect. Do not mistake. If you say negative, you are not saying positive. You always say affirmative. Golden rule. Message proverb. I have a message for you. If it's something longer or more complicated than just a single sentence, then please use the proverb message, which is a warning basically to your counterpart that you have to concentrate. Maybe you have to take notes because it will be slightly longer than it used to be. Okay. Message follows. This is also you can use instead of message. A formal message which requires recordings about to follow. Now, at the signal room, at the duty desk, whoever is the duty signal officer, NCO, watchkeeper, usually has to make notes, handwritten in a kind of table format, which requires very speed writings, high-speed writings, yet readable and clear. For example, the shift going to be replaced by another person. Therefore, you're giving a time window for the counterpart to take some notes, not to just forget the whole message. Okay? Then the counterpart will respond by send. That means he is prepared to take some notes or memorize your message. Go ahead with your transmission. Basically, this is what the explanation of send. Or send your message. Go ahead, transmit. I am ready to copy. Copy that. It's not very common, not even in the US environment. Some of them doing it, but the majority just leaving it out. Okay, some message handling proverbs. I would like you to read out loud, one by one, those ladies and gentlemen that I'm pointing to. I'm requesting to read the line I'm marking to the highlighter. Okay? Sir, will you please read the first line?
Alpha, this is Bravo, message over.
Sir?
Bravo, this is Alpha, send over.
Sir?
Me?
Yes.
Alpha, this is Bravo. At 1400, we had a flat tire at the Adazi Valley. I spelled Alpha, Delta, Alpha, Zulu, India, Adazi. We have no spare tire. Over.
Sir?
Bravo, this is Alpha on the road.
Okay. From a professional. Okay. You see, I'm not saying it's worthless to be here for all of us, but it's good to remind ourselves, to warm up ourselves before the mission itself. Shall I leave out you from the whole lecture from now on? So you are willing to participate. Thank you.
I was prepared.
Excellent.
In my mind. You said nothing now, you know.
Oh, yeah. My MOS, you know what MOS means? That's an American military expression. That means military occupational specialization. So if you ever talking to a US officer or NCO, and if you drop out this sentence very professionally, my MOS is, he will be astonished. Oh, how do you know that? MOS, military occupational specializations, is the very first professional field of expertise you have learned on your military academy, on your officers' school, in the NCO academy. Mine was cryptographic custodian, which is slightly part of the signal branch, right? Or I have later qualified for military police, airborne, and operations, logistics, things like that. So if you say I'm a logistician or I'm armored, armed infantry, before that you can say MOS, because it is a category of military professions, and the US terminology uses military occupational specialization. Okay? Continuing it, the message handling pro words, words twice. I don't think, sir, confirm, please, but I never ever use them, and I didn't hear anyone in the radio and saying words twice, right? It's very rare, I guess. But instead, Roger, so far, you can ask if the message was understood by your counterpart. Have you received this part of my message satisfactorily? Question mark. This means I'll follow my message, okay? So when you're asking that, you will have a reply that, fine, yeah, sure, then you can continue. Let's have some more practice. So the second row after you, sir, you please. Yeah, just carry on one after the other, please. Thank you.
Forward is
Sorry? I'm just making it more difficult. Right?
forward is forward 1, Oxford Papa, message over.
Forward 1, Oxford Papa, this is forward, send forward.
Yeah.
Forward, this is forward 1, Oxford Papa, message. At 1400, we got flat tire at the Adazi Valley. I spelled Alpha, Delta, Alpha, Zulu, India, Adazi. Roger, so far, over.
Okay, now this is the question mark. This is where I want to be convinced that the other part understood all that. Please continue. Next.
Forward 1, forward Papa, this is forward, Roger, over.
Okay, so clearly you have understood what was in the air before. Next one, please.
Forward, this is forward 1, Oxford Papa, we have no spare tire, we need a technician with the tire, ASAP, forward.
Okay.
Forward 1, Oxford Papa, this is forward, Roger, forward.
And the next one, please.
Forward, this is forward 1, Oxford Papa, out.
Okay, so also understandable, easy. You, ladies and gentlemen, really experts, and you know it very well. ASAP.
As soon as possible.
Perfect. Then, correction. An error has been made in this transmission. We'll continue with the last word group. Correctly transmitted. Okay? Or, an error has been made in this transmission. The correct version is, and then you say the correct version. That which follows is a corrected version in answer to your request for verification. Right? And here it comes. 41 Alpha, this is 41 Golf message. Traffic accident at grid 3450. Correction. 35402231 over. 41 Golf. This is 41 Alpha, Roger out. Okay? So the mistake was realized by the sender and was immediately corrected in between the message itself. Alright? Then disregard this transmission out. Disregard it. The transmission is an error. Maybe it wasn't directed to you or addressed to you. This proverb shall not be used to cancel any message that has been already completely transmitted and for which receipt or acknowledgement has been received already. Well, I dispute that a little. However, let's just continue with the loud reading, please. Whose turn is it?
Forward 1 Alpha, this is forward message for 1.
Let's continue from the front. Yes?
Forward, this is forward 1 Alpha, send over.
Okay.
Forward 1 Alpha, this is forward, message, return to Charlie, Sierra, India, disregard this transmission out.
Okay, so again. Say again, repeat all your last transmission. I say again, yes, I have realized I received your request for that, and I will comply. For example, here you're not saying Wilco, right? This is a distinguished situation here. I am repeating my transmission or portion indicated. And here is an example. Say again, I say again, and then the beginning and the end is quite the same. Read back, I read back. Now this is rather important when a specific task was given to your counterpart and the receival of the task must be confirmed firmly. Okay? Correct, that is correct. Again, it is again a verification of the message itself, whether it was received properly or not. Wrong, if the read back is full with mistakes, or at least one mistake in it, then the sender can say, wrong, your last transmission was incorrect, the correct version is. So it comes one after the other in sequence, usually. This is also an example for that. I'm just starting to speed up a little bit to make sure that you will have a break before your media handling lecture. Speak slower. Of course, some people are just getting it out like they are at home. You will experience that with the British contingent members, definitely. Most of them, because they are natives, they not slow down. They don't slow down. They don't realize that they are in a different environment, at least at the beginning, especially with first deployers who never been in Cyprus before, for example. But I can hardly imagine you will meet any British soldier who's not been there yet. Okay. Then the triple silence in case of any emergency. Cease all transmission in this net immediately, will be maintained until lifted. Silence lifted, silence is lifted, the net is free for traffic. And here we used to have some dispute between the trainees, also trainers. I'm not sure if you agree with me, sir, but usually this is the right of the net control station to express the triple silence only. You see?
Exactly.
We are on the same page now. Usually it doesn't happen. You are out on the field or you're one of your patrols having some incident, serious one, and he needs to have the net only for himself and his counterpart. He's calling usually the net control station any higher in his area of responsibility in his sector. That means it's not on the field the radio user who is shouting out in the net silence, 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 but he's saying something like medevac or I have an emergency situation. Realizing by the net control station, he gives order to everyone what is the main reason. The most radius of transmission capabilities usually are with the net control station. It is very common, right? We all know that we are military. So the higher tower and pole of radio transmitter is with the net control station. Most likely he can reach almost everyone in his radius, in his area of responsibilities. Therefore, it is the task, the main reason of the net control station. And once again, or furthermore, he is the one who can reach any agency, can help that particular patrol or radio user in trouble. Okay? Unknown station, the identity of the station calling or with whom I am attempting to establish communication is unknown. And it happens like this. For this is message over. Then I just don't know who was that. I couldn't catch his or her call sign. Therefore, unknown station, this is 4 over. It comes back again. I would like to establish, to identify from whom that message was coming, which was disrupted or distorted. Wait, must pause for a few seconds. It could happen especially with the net control station when he's engaged with other tasks, with other substations in the net. Something is more important than your average report of patrolling section. So you would give your location to the net control station, which is a routine, but something more important is happening. The net control station is able or might give you an answer on your call that you have to wait. Wait out, that means there's something the counterpart you are calling has to do before continuing with the back and forth conversation. Therefore, I must pause longer than some seconds and will call you again when ready. Okay? Now, this is the point when it used to happen that people are forgetting that somebody already in the net and in the middle of the conversation is just suddenly stepping into the net. you have to be really careful and watch out what's going on in the air. Okay? Pen. Never ever heard of it. I'm in the system since '89, but no one. People used to say this is a kind of Croatian beer, pen. This is how is it written on the bottle itself. So maybe Croatians will mistakenly understood that you offering some beer for them. Okay? However, Mayday is very common, and it's coming even from the movies. Mayday is a life threat. Okay? So, some radio checks. If the communications center, CC, in connection in the net with several substations, with call signs OP from OP1 to OP6, of course, it goes in numerical or alphabetical order when the radio check is being initiated by the communications center or net control station. Pro-word is a radio check. What is my signal strength? And readability, how do you read me? This is actually a request radio check towards your net control station. Please let me know how you can hear me. You are or I read you. These two can be only the answers. Okay? Your signal strength and readability is as follows. Can be quality, right? Yes. Reporting the quality of reception. The following phrases shall be used when initiating or answering. Okay? Loud, good, weak, very weak, nothing heard. Usually when you say nothing heard, you're doing a few attempts, 2 or 3. Then, if in fact nothing heard, you say nothing heard out, and you're leaving that attempt of conversation because obviously there is no answer. It could be that it comes back after a while. The counterpart will realize that it was towards him or her. Okay. Then clear, also good. Also, it used to be, maybe it's not here, the Lima Charlie. Anybody knows except you, sir? No? Loud and clear, Lima Charlie. but it is also a British specific word, so a kind of slang. Okay, readable, distorted. I have troubles in reading you because of distortion. Could be radio wave misconduct, could be some aerial wind, whatever, or just an outer sound in your vicinity, which makes it more difficult to understand. With interference, nobody used to say that. Unreadable, it's more common. Okay. Also some examples for that we can skip, I guess. And this is how it goes in order. Okay. To all stations, alpha is calling. To all stations, this is alpha, radio check over. Then it comes in alphabetical order. Bravo, loud and clear. Charlie, loud and clear. And then delta, loud and clear. If it all works fine and perfectly, which is not very common, then to all stations, this is alpha, you are loud and clear as well, out. So a very simple beginning of the day or the patrol day, all the patrols are being called before their departure. Then, if it's a practiced, well-trained signal team, then after a while it comes again, a request for radio check, then goes any further in distance. Expectedly, they're already at the edge of the range, for example, you can have it again. If the weather changes in such sudden mode, then you can also initiate from the net control a radio check. If you as a patrolman or a vehicle driver or the radio user are not sure whether based on your position the counterpart or the net control station can hear you, you can also initiate from time to time a radio check just to make sure, just to be convinced that your radio device is operational, because on the island as well, I guess, you can use any mobile net, mobile telephone providers there, but the main source, of course, on duty is radio set. Okay, some log sheet. Let's get into some bureaucracy. It's also quite self-explanatory. Time from to, the message itself, the action taken, and the signature. So a basic log sheet, which can be a little different in every mission, but definitely the duty personnel at the signal room or the radio room has to have something like that in order to record in written. Of course, digital recording is going on already in many places, but just to make sure that it is constantly known who is in the net, what is doing, what is happening, something like that exists almost everywhere. Aim of movement control, as you see, if there's a vehicle convoy, it's also a specific procedure for that. We're just going to skip. It's not happening very often. However, you can see that some certain points are designated for regular reports about your locations from Echo 1 to Echo 4. Your departure location is Sierra, your destination is Delta. The net control station is sending out a convoy of Charlie 1, 2, 3, and 4. As you see, starting, destination, and reporting points, RPs. And you are usually closing down to the area when you are already close to the location, and you can make different reports. I am in between two, that means you are giving a grid, or you are giving that I am in the vicinity of Echo 3, from or away the position, it doesn't really matter. However, the system gives you options how to report your location and your activities. Okay, this is the most important thing. If you are at a well-known point by everyone, you are just saying, I am at Echo 1. And they know for sure according to the map and the GPS grids and data portion of message that you are there. Okay, some other movement controls issues. These most likely, yeah, the web system and the net and the informational digital systems, car tracking systems. They're calling it differently in different missions. Out, for example, in Ukraine, we had the ambassador and the chief of mission several times visiting us. So we had to put together from Zaporozhye city to Mariupol, my duty station, which was roughly 300 kilometers, a 12-vehicle convoy, armored 5-ton civilian Toyotas, with SBU, Služba bezpečnosti Ukrainy. Some state security services joined our board. We had a radio net, we had movement control from time to time. The forward running vehicle, actually the forerunner, so-called, was informing us the first vehicle what is going on the road. Then we were informing all the rest in order from Alpha to whatever Echo, what is going on ahead, what they have to be prepared for. We have already such sophisticated internet and GPS-based applications which can predict you what is going on before digitally, but of course it makes it all complicated. The radio conversation is the most reliable and the quickest. You can have disruption, you can have power failure, you have receival difficulties with your electronic gadgets and devices. So still the most reliable is from human to human. What I can see, I can report, I can let you know in time, and you can confirm that yes, you received, you are prepared for that. Okay? So different methods can be applied for movement control, but still to have a proper radio net and maintain it correctly, this is the most reliable, I guess. Then let's just go quickly the Kazakhstan and Medevac, which will be part of your training on Thursday, just to receive and read and initiate Medevac calls and go accordingly. Now, the Kazakhstan casualty evacuation, the evacuation from point of injury to the next suitable level of care, a situation where the patient requires evacuation as soon as possible, ASAP, in order to save life, limb or eyesight, to prevent complication of serious illness, to avoid permanent disability. This entails the movement of an injured or a seriously injured ill person using whatever means are available, okay? And will usually involve the use of dedicated air rescue sources available on continuous 24/7 standby status. So this is the explanation of Kazavuc itself. And the medevac. It's a routine transport of stable casualty whose evacuation is not a medical emergency. You see the difference now, probably, okay? Medevac are considered administrative movement and do not require emergency aircraft support. It's not necessary to carry the patient by any means of air transport. Evacuation of medical cases between levels of care established in theater, intra-theater medevac, this is how it's called, or to medical facilities out of the theater, inter-theater medevac. As you see, these two aerial vehicles, the helicopter and the aircraft, most likely is not specifically designed to carry the patients. For example, here, maybe it's hardly seen from the back, it's some kind of a camp bed, a static solid camp bed just put into the on board of the helicopter. So these aircrafts usually have other purposes than specifically evacuating purposes, okay? And the methane report. I think this is still what is in common use in Cyprus in the ANFICYP mission. So the Mosaic acronym covers my call, hello, of course, pushing it just to know that it's going through. This is I need a medevac, and you saying your own call sign. Echo is the exact location. We are at nearest OP, or grid reference can be given for exact identification of your location and the location of the incident accident. Tango goes for type of incident. We have a car accident, explosion, shot person, etc. Hotel goes for hazards. We have a fire, minefield, power line if it's an aerial evacuation. You have to let them know that as well. Alpha, the access. You can gain access via, and you can give a main road direction from a village to a village, anything which can be fast and very good identifiable, very well identifiable by the rescue team. Okay, so it could be a terrain feature, it could be grid, but usually we're not complicating it because speed is essential in such case. Then the November, number of casualties and type of injuries. Of course, the rescuer must be prepared for how many patients he needs to accomplish the evacuation. ECHO is the EXO services. We need police, fire services, anything which cannot be done by the rescue team itself. They have to know about it, and it's already very likely that they will inform other partner agencies about the event, the incident. Here is a methane card, usually rotations going out to the field or already during the pre-deployment preparation will receive a little pocket card, which is very recommendable to carry it with you with your ID card at all times. You already have one, sir, right? Do you have one? Excellent. So just later on you can show to everyone. Somewhere I also have from my previous missions. Here is an example, but you will be practicing it. So it's again not rocket science. Moreover, not disrespect any of you or myself, most of these systems are stupid proof. So it is all written, you just have to go one by one, and all you need to do is to control yourself, not to be so excited about the situation itself, but think about how to solve it. Once it happened, it happened. But the reaction of yourselves and your parts, of your team members or your subordinates is vital to rescue those individuals or that single person and to save his life. Okay, here it goes in order as you see. And a kind of format for the 9-liner. Usually some kind of a matrix will be given to you, and you have to write it in accordingly, especially the receiver must fill out the form. But if the sender has the same, but the receiver, then it's very easy to identify. I'm writing line this and that, go ahead. Yes, read back if it's something more complicated. You have multiple injuries on several persons of the patrol, then it makes it more complicated and it requires more specific and exact information to be received. Okay? All right, ladies and gentlemen, I just finished a minute before the break. Hopefully